Hey there, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. All of our coronators, our kings and queens. I am struggling to get happy this morning. I am consciously trying to get happy. I've had a couple of challenges, and I will share those with you momentarily. Should be happy. Good things are happening. The Yankees are starting on April 1st. Spring is definitely here. Some things are changing. We have holidays right now. Happy Passover, happy Pesach to all of our Jewish friends. And today is also, I think it's called Good Monday or Holy Monday. And this is part of Holy Week, right? So there are a lot of good things happening. Like I said, I have a challenge right now, which is I woke up yesterday and I had a throat issue and a headache. No big deal, but I have to go through everything that we have to go through these days now, which means I had to schedule a test this morning. It's probably negative, probably allergies, but this is what we have to do. As you can see, I'm here without Jen today. So please comment, ask questions. Regarding Passover, so Passover, for those of you who celebrate, you know Passover is largely about being liberated from bondage. And for those of you out there, Jen, Maria, that does not mean what you may think it means. It's when we say liberated from bondage, that doesn't mean taking keys and unlocking belts and all kinds of chains and what have you. It might have to do with chains. But Passover is a funny holiday. I didn't get to go to our Passover Seders this year. Every year, the family has what they call Seders. That is the ritual dinner that we have. Seder, of course, the word means order. And a piece of trivia, the Hebrew word for okay is beseder, in order. And we do everything in a certain order. It's not like every other meal. It's not supposed to be chaotic, which is really ironic because the last thing that you're going to get at a Jewish family meal is any semblance of order. And everything seems really quaint when you look at the Passover Seder because there's all kinds of weird things that seemingly have nothing to do with anything, but they all have this intrinsic meaning. So, for example, we eat bitter herbs. Why the hell would we want to eat bitter herbs? Well, it has meaning. The bitter herbs remind us of the bitterness of the being in bondage. You see how that works? In addition, we eat something else. It's kind of a sweet little confection made with wine and nuts. And the idea of that is that it's the color of the bricks, right? So there's all this significance. There's all this meaning that goes into the Passover Seder. Now, we're supposed to welcome strangers. We're supposed to welcome outsiders. And this year, people were actually having dinners, again, as opposed to just virtually. Ironically, I was not invited anywhere because I've not been vaccinated. So this was one stranger that was not welcome, not even a stranger, a family member, which goes back again to the age that we're living in. And this is part of the challenges, and this is part of the frustrations. It's also Holy Week with Easter. So on Sunday, Palm Sunday, that's when Jesus... And by the way, let me just a small disclaimer here. I am not trying to fake the funk and suggest that I'm some kind of a pious, learned person when I'm referencing these religions and giving their meanings. I'm not, but I think that there are lessons that can be learned from them, right? And especially now, more than most times. This was the day after the day that Jesus went to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. So it's a very significant event for Christians as well as Jews. We celebrate in Passover. Now, Jesus would have done this also, is celebrate the time of the plagues. And what better time to celebrate the time of the plagues than now that we're living in this plague? We do it in a very interesting way. Traditionally, what you do if you're at a Passover Seder is you take wine and you drip the wine. It's one drop for each of the plague as you're reciting the plagues. It's very important to remember what these plagues were. We don't want to forget that it was. It's not enough to just say it was a horrible, shitty time and we're done with it now. No, memory is really important in these rituals. So we drop a bit of wine for each plague and we go through them, right? There were blood, there were frogs, there were locusts, there was killing of the firstborn. I mean, why do we have to recount this all the time? Every single year, we have to recount these plagues. Shouldn't we get over it? In an ideal world, we learn from it, right? We would learn not to enslave each other. We would learn to welcome a stranger. I'm not sure that we ever learn, though. I think it might just be more like we recount it over and over. We celebrate it, quote unquote, celebrate it. And don't necessarily get any of the significance and the lessons and then carry those forward. That's what we hope happens. But it doesn't necessarily. But it's a funny thing. I mean, comedians have talked about this. You sit down at the table with all of your family. There are all of these odd-seeming, disparate objects and foods on the plate. You have something called gefilte fish. I assure you, Moses never had gefilte fish. Had he encountered a gefilte fish, he would not have eaten it. Gefilte fish actually means filled fish. It's Eastern European. So that's going to be on the Seder plate. You're going to have matzah balls. I'm pretty sure that neither Moses, nor Jesus, nor Aaron, nor Pharaoh ever saw a matzah ball, nor would they know what to do with it. They probably would start throwing it at each other. And then you have like a lamb shank. So you have a lamb shank also. And there's a plate. They call it a Seder plate. And it's a round plate and it has an area for each of these things. There's generally writing on it. It says, okay, put the lamb shank right here, put the egg right there, put the matzah here. And one by one, we eat these things and we read. And everyone's complaining, by the way. Nobody wants to do this stuff. You would think you'd be allowed to do it after you eat, but that's not how it works. You have to do it, most of it, before you eat. You have to go through all this. The youngest person there asked what's called the 4 questions. What are the 4 questions? Well, why on this night are we doing this? Why are we reclining on this night? The answer is, of course, we are supposed to recline because we're free men. Free men get to recline. Slaves aren't allowed to recline when they eat. So the youngest person asks these questions. Why are we doing this? Why is this night different than any other night? And then a wise older person, a parent, is supposed to answer these questions. And all anyone wants to do is eat. That's the liberation that we want. We want to be able to eat in peace. But we can't. So it is a good holiday. It is reasonable and it is warranted to look at what we can learn from it. Although, frankly, I'm not sure because I'm too frustrated by the fact that I have to go get a COVID test now if I want to go into work. I had some symptoms yesterday. Pretty sure they were allergies. A little today also. But it doesn't matter. Can you imagine if I didn't get it checked out and I went in and then someone got sick? It could be all over the internet. This is what's going on right now, and it has to end. Right now, we want to be freed from this kind of bondage. It feels like a bondage. It feels like enslavement. It's not, of course. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it certainly feels that way. And so I started out saying that I've been desperately trying to get happy. So thank you for listening, because maybe that will help. So this morning, I'm just trying to get there. I'm trying to get to a better place. Because the frustration almost has me wanting to put my head through my computer. But I know that won't help. And I'm turning to our great religions to try to get some perspective, right? I guess 40 years in the desert is a lot worse than a year in this kind of desert. I guess it is. These are momentary things. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe that's the lesson for an ancient heritage, right? We've seen it all. There's nothing new under the sun. We've seen everything at this point. There's nothing that could hurt us or bring us down unless we decide that it's so. That's what I'm going to take from this. Okay, good. Thank you. I got it. I got there. All right. And on that note, on a high note, I'm going to get going now so I can go get tested. We'll see everyone on Friday. Friday is Good Friday. So I hope you'll join us on Good Friday. It'll be Jennifer and myself. And we'll be talking a little bit more about the holiday and, of course, having a conversation and answering anything that you need answered. Okay? All right. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.